Good morning, all my friends out in internet land. I'm making this video in regards to straightening out just some confusion that happens quite often in different chats because our memories aren't that good compared to what was stated in the paperwork. And I was reading through the paperwork this morning, and I wanted to point out why we think, or in generality, we think the kids made it home from being seen on CCTV. And I keep mentioning this video call between Cindy Murray and Malaya Brooks Murray, the mother-daughter. And it says here in the particular paperwork that Constable McIntyre asked Malaya to look in her phone to confirm her timeline for Thursday. She provided the following information. And if you look at point 2, it says Malaya had a video call from her mother, Cindy, at 3:37 p.m. on Thursday to see the kids. Cindy would have seen the kids on the phone. So there is some assumptions going on, but that's mainly where I believe people give them at this point in time the benefit of the doubt. Could it be wrong? Could she be lying? I guess there's always a possibility, but for now, we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. So the kids were seen at home at 3:37 p.m., presumably by Cindy, through a video call. Now, there's a secondary clarification I'd like to make because it was in my mind, and I was going on as though they got home from doing laundry on Thursday, and I need to correct myself, and I don't believe that to be true based off of what I am reading here in the paperwork. It's just a little confusing as to how it was laid out. But in conversation, it gets lost, but I'll straighten it out right now. It seems on Wednesday, they were at Patty's, and it was Thursday, and it has to do with how the kids went to bed on Thursday night. They were still in the same clothes because Malaya hadn't put away any of the laundry, she says, from all of the bags she got from Patty's. Doesn't mean that she was at Patty's. I'll read this to you as far as what it says, just to freshen our memories up, because we get things a little off sometimes. I'm trying to remember, excuse me. And just let me comment before I do. This inability to recall what exactly happened Thursday, there's a lot of distancing language involved. I've got a problem with that. I don't know about you at home, but it's an issue. Let me read it to you. Where's a good place to start here? Malaya provided a fifth statement to Constable McIntyre on May 9th, which is a week after the kids went missing. The following is a summary. Malaya again recounted what happened on Thursday night before the kids went missing. She said she put Jack and Lily to bed and then went to bed with Meadow. She continued to what happened Friday morning, which was the same account she provided in her previous statements. In addition to what was already said, she provided the following new information. 1. She said when Daniel was looking for the kids, he opened the front door. He put a wrench on top of the door the night before, and it didn't fall down. So Daniel said they must have gone out the back sliding door. The door was shut, but the kids wouldn't normally leave it open if they were outside because it was so heavy. There are times when they would close it. Malaya said Lily and Jack did not normally wander on their own. They would if redacted were there, but not by themselves. Which, by the way, is contrary to the initial 911 dispatch call when she called them in, claiming they were autistic and known to be bolters or wandering. 3, Malaya said she had a conversation with Janie in the front yard. By the way, everything that they've portrayed in the beginning is inconsistent, if you haven't already noticed. 3, Malaya said she has a conversation with Janie in the yard and told her the kids were missing. Janie got ready and went to look for them. She told Malaya she heard them outside playing with Daniel. or playing and Daniel yelling. Malaya said, I'm skipping over number 4. Malaya said, actually, I'll read number 4 for you. Malaya said she does not think she opened her phone or sent any messages around that time. She did not call her mother and her grandmother after she called police. She did call. She said she used Text Plus because it allowed Wi-Fi calling. She since deleted the app because she doesn't need it anymore. She did not use Text Plus to call 911 because it doesn't let you. Goes on to say, 5, Malaya said during the day, Daniel had erratic behavior towards the police officers. Erratic? What does erratic mean to Malaya? She thought he was very standoffish. Is that on top of being erratic? And Daniel thought they weren't doing enough. Malaya said she was up late on Friday night. She put Meadow to bed. This is after the searches started, by the way, Friday night. She put Meadow to bed, then stayed up. Daniel came in and just went to sleep. She thought he was tired from searching all day. You think? She said she only got a couple hours of sleep. It was after 3 a.m. the last time she checked her phone, and she was up again around 6 a.m. Constable McIntyre asked Malaya to look in her phone to confirm her timeline for Thursday. She provided the following information. At 6:29 a.m. on Thursday, Malaya received a message to confirm the kids were marked absent from school. Malaya said it was a slow morning. They didn't do a lot other than get breakfast, watch TV, and play. Malaya had a video call from her mother, Cindy, at 3:37 p.m. on Thursday to see the kids. Cindy would have seen the kids on the phone, it says here. So, you didn't do anything on Thursday morning. Why couldn't you have put away all of the pajamas and stuff? All of the clothes were already home with you from Wednesday, and you guys were just laying around, not even putting things away. Because you put them to sleep that night. You put them to sleep that night with no pajamas, the clothes that they had wearing during the day. It's just a bizarre scenario to me. So it's a bit of a clarification. There it is right there. Now there's something else. Now, just to fill out all of more of the information about that Thursday and their travels, Malaya showed Constable McIntyre her Google Map timeline, which tracked her movements on Thursday. She went to the following places. 1, they left home at 12:10 p.m. and drove for 39 minutes. Then from 12:49 to 1:27, Malaya was shown at a missing visit, which she thought was redacted. They then went to Dollarama at 1:44 p.m. She said she went in and grabbed a few things. 3, they went to Lawton's at 2:48 p.m. She remembered they picked up some Tylenol and diaper rash cream for Meadow because she was teething. 4, they drove between 2:52 and 3:11 p.m. and arrived home that evening. It goes on to say that evening she got the kids something to eat and they were watching TV. She said they might have gone outside sometime to play, but they came in when it was getting dark. She got their teeth brushed, and they wore their clothes to bed because all of the clothes were still in the bags from when she washed them at her grandmother's house the day before. And she hadn't gotten around to putting them away. That's effing lazy. Lily and Jack were hyper and excited, she says, but she got them tucked into bed around 10 p.m. Jack had his blanket and dinosaur, and she shut his door. Redacted, Lily went to bed with her backpack. Redacted. Malaya and Meadow went to bed. Once Meadow was asleep, she put her in her crib and went to sleep herself. So let's get some clarification for Wednesday. So remember, Thursday they weren't doing laundry, which is a correction I had to make because when I didn't read this, I started yesterday. I remember I was talking about them arriving home and Daniel not being too clear on exactly what happened that night, which still falls in line. I came down on him because I thought that they were both over at Cindy Murray's because of the laundry or Patty's. That's not true. So according to the paperwork, so it's a little clarification for my audience. So it goes on to say Malaya and Constable McIntyre looked at the Google Map timeline for Wednesday on Malaya's phone and learned the following about her day. The whole family left the house on Wednesday at 12:51 p.m. and went to the Irving Oil in Westville where they got $20 of fuel. They drove to Malaya's grandmother's house and arrived at 2:01 p.m. on Wednesday. Okay. (2:01 Wednesday, Patty's house. At 3:18 p.m., she went to Access Nova Scotia in Truro Heights with Meadow to get a plate for her car. Daniel and the kids stayed at her grandmother's house. They stopped on Wednesday at the Ultramar in Millbrook to get gas, and she stopped to get a vape for Daniel at High Grade. At 7:54 p.m., they went to Walmart and picked up some groceries. The whole family went together. They stopped at Redacted in Truro and went back to Patty's house at 9:19 p.m. to drop off her bank card. Who, Patty's? You had to borrow her bank card? At 10:19 p.m. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, never mind. Excuse me. She's using Patty's bank card. I wonder. I don't want to get sidetracked. Looking for some tax-free things out and about. But Malaya, if she has a status card, I think she does have a status card. Or does she? I'd be interested to know. Then she wouldn't need Patty's. At 10:19 p.m., they arrived home for the night. This is Wednesday. They arrived home at 10:19. So an hour after, Malaya provided more background on their living situation. Now, hold on. Let me go over and slide over to what Daniel has to say about that night. So remember, this is where things get mixed up in our heads because of what was stated in the documents. And there's a reason why we're confused, because the information coming from Daniel was confused. And remember, it was even noted in the paperwork. There's discrepancy between their days. So regarding Thursday, Daniel said the kids did not go to school because Malaya thought Lily was sick. They all left home around lunchtime and got gas at the Circle K in Alma. Well, if they're sick, they're too sick to be being trucked around Hell's Half Acre. If you're sick, you're in bed at home. Otherwise, you're going to school. Has nothing to do with the kids being sick. The kids did not go to school because Malaya thought Lily was sick. They all left home around lunchtime and got gas at the Circle K in Alma. Then went through the Tim Hortons drive-thru for food. Daniel said he thought the kids were sleeping. They drove to Truro and went to Patty's house to do laundry. On Thursday, Daniel? When was this statement taken? Daniel provided two statements to police on May 2nd, 2025 and May 4th, 2025. The following is a summary of what he said. May 2nd and May 4th. They drove to Truro and went to Malaya's grandmother's house to do laundry and spent most of the day there on he says Thursday. Malaya says Wednesday. They went shopping at Walmart and got food. They left her grandmother's house at around 9:30 p.m. and got home around 10:30 p.m. Then put the kids to bed. Daniel said he thought Malaya put them to bed. You think? He didn't know what they were wearing because they were underneath the covers when he checked on them, which would be Friday. Daniel said he thought he went to bed fairly early that night and didn't wake up until it was light the next morning. He remembered getting an email that Malaya had marked the kids absent from school on his phone at around 6:18 a.m. on Friday. Daniel later said Malaya had to get redacted on Thursday between 12:40 and 1:40 p.m., so they thought they must have done that before they went to Truro. Daniel could not remember if they went to town on Wednesday or not. He said he had a conversation with somebody who was helping with the redacted, but he thought that was on Tuesday. Is conveniently skipping over all kinds of time here regarding their family situation. See, this is the reason why it's all effed up, because Daniel isn't recalling the story correctly at the time, according to the paperwork. Or I shouldn't say, because we don't know what's correct and what's not. He's not matching up with Malaya in that sense. Not that it's a smoking gun. It's just we're trying to figure out why we got confused here and why we think the kids got back. Let me see here. Yeah, this investigator's comment. I believe Daniel was mistaken when he said they went to Truro on Thursday. Based off of Malaya's statements in her Google timeline, they went to Truro on Wednesday, and she had redacted on Thursday. So if you scroll down a bit, it goes on to say they talked about what happened on Wednesday and Thursday. Daniel initially had the days mixed up, but then confirmed through online banking on his phone that they spent Wednesday in Truro with Malaya's grandmother and went to run errands, including Malaya's redacted on Thursday. So it is so confusing on here because what's really happening is they have to mark down the discrepancy so that people reading it or other investigators in the future can identify it, and it was acknowledged by the investigator. People were getting upset because they're saying, well, is that an inconsistency? Well, yes, it is, but you still have to document it, and it itself is preserved, and it raises questions on its own after the fact. It's not for a knee-jerk reaction. It's just documenting as it went down. Was Daniel mixed up on his days? Yes. Is that necessarily a sign of guilt? Well, it's not helping his innocence. So it goes on to say, they talked about what happened on Wednesday and Thursday. Daniel initially had the days mixed up, but then confirmed through online banking on his phone that they spent Wednesday in Truro with Malaya's grandmother and went to run errands, including Malaya's redacted on Thursday. In addition to what he provided in the previous statements, he said the following about Thursday. Daniel said he had Facebook messages from Malaya at around 12:07 p.m. She was talking about McDonald's toys. He said he might have been out in the yard playing with Jack and Lily when she sent those messages. Thought the kids were sick. They all went to Malaya's redacted and got there around 12:50 p.m. Malaya went to get redacted, and he stayed in the car with the kids. All three kids were sleeping, so it was quiet. So here, I think they're alluding to her blood work, and they all went together, and Daniel stayed in the car with the kids while she went into the doctor's, perhaps. He looked at his banking information on his phone and remembered they went to Dollarama and Lawton's on the way home. They all went into Dollarama, and only Malaya went into Lawton's. Daniel said Malaya would have talked to her mother later in the day because her mother called 2 or 3 times every day. Her grandmother also probably called. Daniel checked his Google Maps timeline and detailed Thursday as well. The only new information provided was that they stopped at Acropole to pick up poutines. They sure don't mind spending money all fucking day. Anyway, they talked about his relationship with Malaya, and he said the following. Look at how much is redacted there. Daniel said he always takes his phone when he leaves the house. Daniel said he always takes his phone when he leaves the house, and his timeline will say he was home. Don't know what that was. I wish I read the other ones. I wish it wasn't redacted. Now, hold on. See, the problem comes in is when... Okay, here's the issue. It becomes a problem when he's using this alibi to then go and say and use Thursday when you read something like this. They left her grandmother's house around 9:30 p.m. and got home around 10:30, then put the kids to bed. Daniel said he thought Malaya put them to bed. You think? He didn't know what they were wearing because they were underneath the covers when he checked on them. Daniel thought he went to bed fairly early that night and didn't wake up until it was light the next morning. He remembered getting an email that Malaya had marked the kids absent from school on his phone. So it's a bit like Groundhog Day to him, because Wednesday or Thursday and Friday kind of seemed like the same scenario with having to call the kids in sick to school. I can see that. But Daniel later said Malaya had to get blood work on Thursday between 12 and 1, so he thought they must have done that before they went to Truro. So this tells me that this screw up, like, he's incorporating all kinds of logic that contradicts what actually happened here. Like, he's trying to make it and meld something that happened on Wednesday, his experiential memory, into Friday morning and the night before. Do you see the problem? We want to know what happened the Thursday night, and he is telling us about something that actually happened on Wednesday and how they're getting home at night conflicts with what he's trying to tell people happened on that Thursday night. See, he's avoiding that at all possibilities, and he's using things from Wednesday night, his experiential memory, to relate to why it is he can't remember, for example, on what really happened the Thursday night, the time frame between 9 and midnight that he's sensitive about and avoiding. Do you understand the issues here? Like, it's not so bad that it's not like he just mixed up his days. He's incorporating the things that happened into these days as his answers in the moment to talk away and provide a justification for his behavior after the kids went missing. It is very confusing. That's why I'm sitting here trying to sort through it. Again, it's not confusing that Daniel mixed up his days. It doesn't have to do with that. It has everything to do with the point as to why they're conversing and talking in the first place to cops. Okay, because the kids are missing. And you want to add justifications from Wednesday. You're skipping over an entire 24-hour period in your mind and incorporating certain things in that happened Wednesday. Yeah, man, it drives me nuts. Daniel is making it complicated. So let's read this again. Regarding Thursday, Daniel said the kids did not go to school because Malaya thought Lily was sick, and they left home around lunchtime and got gas at the Circle K in Alma. Then went through the Tim Hortons drive-thru for food. Daniel said he thought the kids were sleeping. They drove to Truro and went to Malaya's grandmother's house to do laundry and spent most of the day there. They went shopping at Walmart and got food. Redacted. They left her grandmother's around 9:30 p.m. and got home around 10:30 p.m., then put the kids to bed. Daniel said he thought Malaya put them to bed. He didn't know what they were wearing because they were underneath the covers when he checked on them. It's contradictory to you doing all of the child rearing around there. Daniel said he thought he went to bed fairly early that night and didn't wake up until it was light the next morning. See, he's using this as experiential memory from Wednesday to skip over the Thursday night. Anybody else getting that? I sure am. Daniel said he thought he went to bed fairly early that night. What night are we talking about? And didn't wake up until it was light the next morning. He remembered getting an email that Malaya had marked the kids absent from school on his phone at around 6:18 p.m. on Friday. So you go from something that happened on Wednesday, getting back home at 9:30, 10:30 p.m., which, according to Malaya, happened on Wednesday, not Thursday. And here you are telling the cops that. So this is completely not true. Not true. Do you guys see? Daniel's, it's like he's going on to use something that didn't happen and happened a day earlier, if anything. And he's omitting what actually happened on the Thursday night in great detail. So it goes far beyond just mixing his days up. Do you understand where we're getting at here? If you mix your days up and you generally don't remember, you are certainly not going to attribute them to why the kids are missing and why you can't remember or don't want to remember things from the night before. Less confusing now, isn't it? Absolutely. This is the problem that we have when we talk about it, but still, you know, according to the paperwork, the way that we were remembering it isn't wrong because it's written down wrong. It's documented in a way that's confusing, even though the investigator has a statement believing that he's just simply screwing his days up. Well, it matters because he's attributing all of this experiential memory rather than the truth as to what happened that Thursday night. And that's a real problem when you're trying to get to the bottom of things, isn't it, detectives? My point is, this is not just a mix-up. This was purposefully done in real time to throw investigators off. Because a person's memory doesn't work like that, especially in this situation. Why wouldn't you just open up your phone and check your records in order to recount the story if you were afraid of not remembering things? And it's difficult for everybody to remember things, especially when they're not anticipating things, but that's not a problem here with Daniel. He's doing things on purpose as opposed to actually just purposefully trying to remain vague and indescript and just attributing things off the top of his memory. He's going on as though he thinks that he remembers. So why would you... Anyway, I guess you want to keep him going and keep him sharing information. Like, it's important that all of this nonsense is written down. It's just frustrating when we want just the answers. And that's just our entitlement. Because I understand why the detectives write it down that way. Because it stands out to anybody and it raises and brings up questions that we're bringing up right now. It's confusing to understand where the discrepancy is for people that are watching after the fact. And let me simplify it. Again, it's not that it's suspicious that he got his days mixed up. And he did get his days mixed up. But it has to do with everything based around what happened that Friday morning. He's purposefully not recalling the Thursday night and resorting on his experiential memory from Wednesday in order to get himself through that moment. In other words, we don't know, and they are refusing to talk about what it was that happened on Thursday night, especially Daniel. This is a fact, and it's shown right here. See, it's clever in the sense because your mind wants to dismiss it all when you recognize the discrepancy, and you think, oh, it's just mixed up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not so. It's Daniel trying to throw things off, and it's really a document of that in real time. Let's go back to see what Malaya said. And guys, talk to me in the comment section below. I want to know your thoughts in regards to this, especially because we're overlooking it, and we tend to give Daniel the benefit of the doubt in order to try to get some sort of information out of him. Well, that time came and passed. It's time to take a look back here. We're starting to understand the discrepancy, but it still doesn't account for what it was that happened on Thursday night. Now let's go back to see what Malaya said. On your screen right here, it's important to point out. Initial police dispatch on May 2nd, 2025, Pictou County RCMP were dispatched to a report of a missing children in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia. The following is a summary of the dispatch information. A summary, not everything in detail. A summary. Malaya reported her children, so she called. Lily and Jack may have left the residence and were missing. She said they were both possibly autistic. What is that exactly? And were known to wander. That's a key detail right there. And were known to wander. Because they contradict that after the fact numerous times. I thought I'd just point that out in the initial dispatch call. So you wonder where the RCMP, they base everything around the information that they were given by dispatch right away. In further clarification in regards to the investigator's comment, definitions and abbreviations 13, I have added investigator's comment to explain, corroborate, or further qualify or link information and to state my belief. Where these comments and beliefs are added, I have defined them with italics and the title of investigator's comment in bold, and that is relevant to us because the investigator made a comment in regards to the conflict of information here. Hey, cops, do you actually know what happened Thursday night? No, because they were retelling stories through their experiential memory from Wednesday night in the moment when you're trying to get information out of your prime suspect. And then the investigator wants to say, I don't believe this is a criminal in nature at this point in time. Fired. But again, listen, don't take it too seriously because this isn't all there is. This isn't the most important information out there. It is to stupid. Okay? But it's not important to the case in that because this is only for the initial reasoning and the basis for their warrants. These aren't court documents. This is not Daniel Martell versus the Crown. It doesn't have to be bang on. They just have to give the reasoning and rationale to the judge as to why he or she needs to sign off on the warrant. This is what we know so far. Here's our grounds. Here's my experience. Here's all of that information presented to you. Don't let your minds make the mistake that this is one, true. Okay, it doesn't have to be. They're presenting the case as it was presented to them, and this is the rationale and reasoning why we need your signature on something that you're probably not aware of at this point in time. Here's the summary. That's all it is. For us at home, it's a piece of gold because there's a real problem here. Believe me, they see the same problem because the cops actually want to know the information. They're not any further ahead after the words that are put down here. They have more questions. They would have had more questions because the information is unclear, especially when it comes to Daniel's recounting of it. Let's go through it one more time. Notice what is redacted here. Notice what is redacted in the first statement. It's worth mentioning. Malaya provided 4 statements to police. 2 statements were provided on May 2nd, 2025, 1 on May 3rd, and 1 on May 4th. The following is a summary of what she said. A summary. A. On the day Jack and Lily went missing, she heard them playing in the other room and was going in and out of sleep. Lily came in the room around redacted a couple of times. Daniel was sleeping the whole time and didn't really wake up. She didn't hear them anymore around redacted. So both of the times are redacted. Interesting. So Malaya got up and they couldn't find them. So they called 911. I'd say that's a summary. The police came and got statements. Everything was frantic searching for them. Everything was frantic? Don't you mean everyone? Like, what is that supposed to... Is that her statements? Everything was frantic? Searching for them. Malaya did not think this would take days. Malaya discussed what happened earlier in the week. The kids went to school on Monday and Tuesday, but Wednesday was a professional development day, so they were off. She kept them home on Thursday and Friday. Malaya said she doesn't remember what they did on Wednesday. Specifically, she gave a detailed description about what happened on Thursday, okay? This Thursday that Daniel just wants to skip right over. But yet he wants to use what, like some other day, i.e. experiential memory, for his retelling of what happened before on Thursday night. End of. Malaya kept Lily and Jack home from school Thursday morning because they had a cough. She contacted the school through the Messenger app at 6:18 a.m. The kids got up and came into their bedroom. Meadow was already up and in bed with Malaya. This is Thursday. They got up and headed out to get the kids breakfast. They wanted the TV on and they wanted to play with their toys. Everyone woke up around 9 a.m. Malaya said she tidied the house throughout the day, this is Thursday, and looked after the kids. She said she also scrolled her phone at one point because she was overstimulated. This statement, number 2. God, let's not get distracted. She had redacted in New Glasgow in the afternoon on Thursday, and she and Daniel went with all of the kids, even though that they're sick. They drove her 2017 white Nissan Pathfinder. They went to the big stop for gas, and she thought they may have gotten the kids baguettes at Tim Hortons or bagels. Daniel stayed in the car with the kids when she got redacted. Then they went to a Starbucks drive-thru before going home. Why wouldn't you? It's all Patty's money. You got Patty's bank card, don't you? That's why they're filling up with gas at every stop and getting all of this drive-through, going to get groceries. Come on, this is so pathetic. In the evening on Thursday, she was going to do some cleaning, but she was too tired. The kids were watching a show on TV. Well, she just had blood work. Maybe she is just so affected. She put Lily and Jack to bed first, then Meadow, and then went to bed herself. So Thursday night, she put Lily and Jack to bed first, then Meadow, and went to bed herself. Malaya said they were late getting to bed that night and went around 9 p.m. They usually go around 7 p.m. Lily was wearing a pink sweater and pink pajamas. Who wears a pink sweater to bed? Lily was wearing a pink sweater and pink pajamas with white shapes and a Barbie top. So she's got a pink sweater and a Barbie top on with pink socks. So she's got her socks and her sweaters all... She's dressed up, ready to go outside, only going to bed. Her hair was shoulder length and her backpack was beside her. Jack was wearing black sweatpants, a t-shirt, and a diaper as he was only partially trained. Can you believe this description, parents? Daniel stayed up on Thursday night. He said he was going to clean the house for her. but it wasn't clean when she got up, so she doesn't know what he did. Normally, he did little projects around the house at night and fixed things. Yeah, shake and bake. Redacted, fixed things. No, you didn't, dude. Redacted, Malaya said she was not woken up throughout the night and does not know when Daniel came to bed. Ooh, isn't that convenient? She continued by giving a detailed description of what happened on Friday morning. So let's think about this Thursday statement. It matters. Everything matters because it's the evening before the day they reported the kids missing. There's a whole timeline in here where they want to skip over. And they get off to a really, really bad start. So they hung out around the house in the morning, had breakfast, went to Truro to get blood work done, and went to Starbucks and Tim Hortons. Big stop. In the evening, she was going to do some cleaning. When does it say she got back? In the evening, she was going to do some cleaning, but she was too tired. Put the kids to bed around 9 p.m. They usually go around 7. Why so much later that day, if everybody was so tired? Lily was wearing a pink sweater and pink pajamas. So she's got a sweater and pajamas with white shapes in a Barbie top. Think about the description of what it is that she's wearing. Anything else you want to put on her? Maybe a parka? Toque? Boy, that bed's got to be freezing cold. With socks. Who goes to bed with socks on? What is wrong with you? Temperature, body temperature, and regulation is the most important thing to getting a sound sleep. I have a hard time believing this statement about what it was that she was wearing, just as a little side note, an investigator side note here. Jesus. Anyway. Daniel stayed up and he said he was going to clean the house for her, but it wasn't clean when she got up and she doesn't know what he did. By the way, this keeping the kids home on Friday and Daniel being surprised, what does it tell you about the level of communication? So this must be something Malaya's in charge with. And Daniel's completely in the dark, even though that, according to him, the kids only listen to him. They are attached to him. He takes care of them because Malaya won't. Remember all of that? But when it actually comes to recalling, doing all of the things that come with taking care of kids, putting them to bed, getting them up, even reporting sick days, having to assess them, they don't even want to answer. And that's something Malaya would have done, as opposed to Daniel in that moment. Question from Drunk Turkey the other night. But tell us why they weren't in class. Well, I know Wednesday, says Daniel. I know Wednesday they had what they call a PE day, which is, like an in-service. And so no children attended school that day. Yeah, we know what a PE day is. And then on Thursday, Lily had a cough, and I really didn't know if Malaya was going to keep them home for Friday. So really think about what it is that we're talking about, friends, when they're recalling this story. If only the kids weren't sick. If only the kids weren't sick and didn't need to be held back from school Thursday and Friday, they would have still been alive. Isn't that what we're saying here, Daniel? If only the kids weren't sick, they would have gone to school. Therefore, none of this would have happened. They wouldn't have just up and wandered around behind your back and got themselves disappeared. Boy, they almost made it out alive, didn't they? If they'd only had gone to school. But listen to his statement. And I really didn't know if Malaya was going to keep them home for Friday, but kind of turns out, come on, kind of turns out that she did. And when I woke up that morning, like I wasn't expecting the kids to be home. Well, they weren't because they were gone, weren't they? I seen Lily poke her head into the room a couple of times that morning. He's right around in a big old circle in this statement. Doesn't make sense, Judge Judy would say. Dude goes on to say, listen, we're talking in May here. They're sick on May 2nd. We're not talking about them being sick in September, October, when they normally get back together and they all share their illnesses. They build immunity over a period of time. Daniel wants to put himself in a situation to tell us that the kids had something that Daniel refers to, Dr. Daniel, as a low immunity. Hardly. That's not kids. Listen to this statement. He's such a moron. Okay, I mean, is the question was allergies, or is this like implied what caused the frequent illnesses? Answers, okay, I mean for the first, I don't know, 11 weeks, 4, 8, 12. That's 3 months of school. They were sick each week. You don't think you might want to take them to the doctor then? So you're telling me for the first 3 months, September, October, and November, right? Pretty much up to December, they were sick all of the time. Hardly, dude. I mean, for the first, I don't know, 11 weeks of school, they were sick each week. Not they brought home COVID and stuff like that. Oh, you're such an idiot, dude. But you can't expect a kid to be perfectly healthy when they're hanging out with, other children, right? Right? He's asking. Think about the crap. Let's look over that again. I mean, I don't know, not, but, you can't, stuttering, right? Those statements were more words than the actual information that you had in that entire statement. All of your qualifiers have overtaken the actual keywords in your statement in that sense. You get an F in English, and especially in this circumstance. So he's trying to normalize the fact that they were always sick and wants to blame it on all of the other kids. Don't think so. So now Daniel's had his chance to adjust. Question number 9 from Daniel Turkey. What happened the night after that they were seen on camera? What was that night like? So Daniel's answer, the night that they were seen on camera, they were seen on Thursday. We were seeing a Dollarama. You were seeing a Dollarama? Or seen at a Dollarama, and then we went back to Acropolis. Oh, for your tasty poutine. Here's another. We got some food and then brought it home. When we got home, it was a little bit before 4:00, and I went outside and I helped Mom work on the fence. Took me a little while to find all my tools and stuff. Here we go. Now he's recalling something so specific at that point in time. But then, after I got my drill and everything else, I helped Mom work on the fence for quite a few hours until it was just coming up to dark. And then after it was dark, I came back inside. What I remember, the kids were sleeping. But when you're looking back in time, Daniel, it's hard to, kind of remember everything and get a feeling for how the night really was, because it just seemed like a normal night. Well, if it just seemed like a normal night, you'd be able to recall it, douche. Right when I came inside, I thought the kids were sleeping, And I could have swore they were sleeping, but it says in the documents that she had them up until 9 or 10 at night. I don't remember them being up that late. So I'll tell you that. So he is still avoiding people, even speaking about what it was that was happening on Thursday night. Let me know what it is that you think in the comments. Peace.